O'shaning uchun kelganlarga kattakon rahmat. Endi sekin vebinarga o'tamiz.
Demak, bugungi vebinarimiz Hanne Koli finlandiyalik bizning hamkorimiz ko'pgina o'qituvchilarni malakasini oshirish bo'yicha kitoblarni muallifi, ko'pgina treninglarni tashkillashtirgan, Finlandiyada o'ziga yarasha obro'ga ega bo'lgan bizning ustozimiz desak ham bo'ladi. Demak, bugungi vebinarimiz ular bilan Finlandiyadagi o'zlarini kiritgan o'zgartirishlari va Finlandiyaning ta'lim tizimiga oid aynan bizni O'zbekistonga ham o'rnak bo'la oladigan jihatlarni demak biz bilan bo'lishadilar.
Okay, Hanne, now we can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So let's start. My name is Hanne Koli and I'm a teacher educator from Helsinki, Finland. And I have been working with Abdumarian Dilrabo this year. Already I think 9 months, and I'm getting acquainted with your country and your education system. So they asked me to tell something about Finland and how our teachers are working and what kind of job is a teacher's job in Finland. But about me, so I had over 20 years experience in pedagogy. Originally, I am a designer, and today I call myself learning designer. So I design learning processes, a lot e-learning and hybrid learning processes. I have been teacher trainer for over 20 years, and also nowadays I have my own company for 10 years. I also write books about pedagogics, and my last book is in English, Engaging to Learn, How to Create Learning Opportunities to Make Learning Inspiring. So my presentation is first here, and then it's going to be translated after each section, and then afterwards you can pose any questions you want, and I try to answer as well as possible. So I'm going to tell you some ideas from the Finnish schools and teaching practices, very practical things. So it gives some kind of insight how our teachers, what their life looks like as the teacher's point of view. And when I'm a teacher educator, in this context, I mean that I am a teacher educator for the teachers' further education. So in Finland, teachers have to develop themselves professionally every year. And because the pedagogics and our syllabus is further developed all the time, they have to study and learn about these new things and develop their competencies. And that is what I have been doing. And I will also then at the end explain the results of this work, how I have done this in digital form. So K-12 schools in Finland, we can divide them in 3. So first the K-6, the 6 first classes. The students go to school at the age of 7. Then after the 6 years, they have the next part of their studies, these 3 years. So it's the K-9, and then 3 years in upper secondary school, and they can choose if they want these science-based studies or vocational studies. They go to different schools. But after that, it doesn't matter which they have chosen. They can continue to universities or applied sciences or universities. So their studies don't stop if they don't choose the academic path. So Finland has this national K-12 syllabus or curriculum, as we call it. And that forms the basis for teachers' work and the school's work. So it's on the national level giving the guidelines how to act in schools and what are the key elements in each syllabus. Abdulbari, please, do you want to translate up to this?
Yes. Demak, Hanne Koli o'tganlaridek, boshdan boshlagan bo'lsak, could you please go back to the first slide? Demak, Hanne Koli bilan biza, ya'ni men Abdulbari va Dilrabo opa 9 oydan beri tanishmiz. Shu yilni boshidan beri ular bilan hamkorlik yo'lga qo'yganmiz. Shu vaqt davomida Hanne Koli bizning ustozimiz bo'lib kelgandi. Shu vaqt ichida biz ulardan ancha narsa o'rgandik. O'zlari haqida qisqacha aytib o'tadigan bo'lsak, pedagogika bo'yicha, keyin teacher training, ya'ni o'qituvchilarni qayta tayyorlash bo'yicha 20 yillik tajribaga egalar. Undan tashqari House of Reading and Learning degan kompaniyani asoschisi va direktor hisoblanadi. Undan tashqari bir qancha adabiyotlar, oxirgi adabiyotlari, bu kitoblari Engaging to Learn, How to Create Learning Tools to Make Learning Inspiring. Shu nomdagi kitobning avtori hisoblanadilar. Next slide, please. Keyingi slayd mana bizaga Finlandiyani maktab tizimidan o'sha tajribaga asoslangan ma'lumotlar haqida aytib o'tyaptilar. Next. Mana bu yerda ko'rishingiz mumkin, mana 6+3+3 qilingan. Ya'ni Yevropa bu yerda 6 yil boshlang'ich ta'lim
va undan keyin qo'shimcha bizga aytiladi 3 yillik ta'lim, qo'shimcha va undan keyin yana 3 yillik. Umumiy hisobda bog'chadan boshlab, demak 12 yilni o'z ichiga olgan ta'lim sistemasiga ega, ya'ni o'quvchilarni o'qitish sistemasiga ega maktablar. Demak,
Finlandiyani demak milliy K-12 deyishadi, ya'ni K deganni biz kindergarten tushunamiz, ya'ni bog'cha. Bog'chadan boshlab shu 12 yillik ta'lim hisobga olinadi. Shu K-12 bo'yicha mana syllabus curriculum, ya'ni o'quv tizimi, o'quv rejasi.
Har bir o'qituvchini asosiy o'sha ish plani har bir o'qituvchiga asos bo'la oladigan, demak biz o'quv rejasi deb ayta olamiz.
You can go ahead, Hanne.
So every school, all the teachers together in that school, they design their own local syllabus.
Ya'ni har bitta maktab o'qituvchilar o'qituvchilar birgalikda o'zini mahalliy o'quv rejasini tuzishadi.
So this means that all schools do not have the same syllabus.
Ya'ni buning ma'nosi hamma maktablarda bir xil ish rejasi mavjud emas.
So they can think that we want to have more technology, or we want to have more science, or we want to have more sports, or we want to have more arts, or something else.
Ya'ni maktablarni o'zligi uchun belgilashi mumkin. Qaysi maktab bizga ko'proq texnologiya kerak deyishi mumkin, qaysi bir bizga ko'proq ilm-fan kerak deyishi mumkin, qaysi bir ko'proq bizga san'at yoki sport kerak deyishi mumkin.
And after that, when the school has finished the local syllabus, each teacher plans her and his own teaching and gives it the personal touch.
Ana bundan keyin maktab darajasi aniqlab olishgandan keyin har bitta o'qituvchi o'zini o'qitish metodini belgilab oladi va o'zini o'qitish yo'liga personal touch, ya'ni
shaxsiy yo'nalish, o'zini shaxsiy yo'nalishi.
Okay. And this means that that the teacher has free hands how to apply the syllabus, and nobody controls the teacher.
Ya'ni bu degani har bitta o'qituvchining o'zini uchta qo'lga ega va hech kim bu narsani kontrol qila olmaydi. O'qituvchidan boshqa.
Mana ko'rib turibmiz, personal touch. Bu yerda biz shaxsiy yondashuv, har bitta o'qituvchi mana shu belgilangan, barcha uchun maktabda belgilangan, misol uchun syllabusdan kelib chiqib, o'zligi yana shaxsiy yondashuvligini ham ko'rsatib berishadi.
And this is very easy nowadays because our national syllabus is very open.
Ya'ni buning ma'nosi ularni milliy dasturi juda ham erkin.
So when we think about the Finnish schools, and I might say the whole world, what is important in 2020 when we think about the grade 12 schools? The main points, what we are now thinking of, are that each student needs skills to learn. And they have to learn how to learn. They have to learn how to study, and they have to learn how to think.
Biza Finlandiyani shu milliy o'qitish tizimi deganda birinchi o'rinda o'quvchilarni, ya'ni Finlandiya uchun hozirgi kunda nima muhim degan savolga javob berishimiz mumkinki, o'quvchilar uchun 3 xil ko'nikma muhim ahamiyatga ega. Birinchisi bu o'qishni, ya'ni o'rganishni o'rganish,
qanday qilib ilm olishni o'rganish va qanday qilib o'ylash, o'sha aqlini ishlatish. Biz ko'p o'qituvchilar bu so'zni takrorlaymiz, ya'ni miyasini ishlatib mana shu narsalarni analiz sintez qilishni o'rgatishni, demak o'qituvchilar o'z oldilariga maqsad qilib qo'yishgan. 2020-yilda xuddi bizni 2017-yildan 2021-yilgacha boshlagan harakatlar strategiyasi kabi. Demak, bizda hozir savollar bo'lyapti, faqatgina ingliz tili o'qituvchilarimi? Yo'q, bizda turli xil fan o'qituvchilari bor.
And what is essential here? The essential thing is that skills are not something that you can teach somebody. It is something that everyone has to learn. And that's why we also need new methods. How do the students learn these skills? And we use very much self-assessment, and we use portfolios. So the students make their learning visible, and when they make their learning visible with the documents, then they can discuss about them, and then they can make self-assessment about their competencies.
Demak, ko'nikma deganni bilishimiz kerakki, ko'nikmani bitta odam boshqa odamga o'rgatib bo'lmaydigan narsa, balkim ko'nikma bu har bitta odam o'zi o'rganishi kerak bo'lgan narsa. O'shaning uchun ko'nikmaga qanaqa qilib ega bo'ladigan joyda biz bilishimiz kerakki, asosan mana 2 xil yo'lni aytib o'tdilar. Birinchisi bu o'ziga baho berish, ikkinchisi portfellar orqali.
Portfolio orqali biz baholab boramiz, ya'ni o'quvchi boshlanganda qanday natija bilan kelgan yoki qanday bo'lgan uni bilim darajasi va mana shu portfolio orqali o'zini o'zi baholab boradi. Qanchalik darajada uni bilimi oshdi.
So this means that our curricula or the syllabus has shifted from the idea that the students learn things and memorize things. But the main point is not to memorize, but to learn to find information and to think and to be able to use the information they find.
Hozirgi kunda aytayotdilarki, bizning tizimda o'zgarish bo'lyapti, ya'ni transition, o'tish. Ya'ni qanaqa bo'lyapti? Hozirgi kunda asosiy maqsad olayotgan ma'lumotni eslab qolishga iborat emas, balkim informatsiyani, ya'ni ma'lumotni topa olish va o'sha ma'lumotni ishlata olish qobiliyatiga ega bo'lish.
So, then next, how do teachers design their teaching? In Finland, we use this concept, a learning process, about the teacher's work. So we used to talk about courses, and it might be used still, but it means that the teachers design their work, their teaching into a learning process, and then they make it visible.
Demak, Finlandiyada o'qituvchilar bu ishni boshlashdan oldin birinchi o'rinda o'zligining o'qitish yo'lini dizayn, ya'ni
it means
dizayn qilib olishadi, ya'ni o'sha narsani jihozlab olishadi. Jihozlash deganda mana ko'rib turibsizlar, bu yerda mana sizlarga stelka ko'rsatilgan. Ya'ni startdan boshlab finishgacha nima narsa qilish kerak, o'sha narsa yozib chiqiladi va shu narsa visible, ya'ni ko'rinadigan qilib, ochiq oydin qilib ko'rinadi.
Ya'ni o'quvchi boshlagan yo'lidan oxirigacha borguncha qanday ishlarni amalga oshiradi, mana shu oxirgi yo'lga borguncha qanday vazifalarni bajaradi. Mana shular ochiq oydin ko'rsatib beriladi.
And then when this learning process is designed, then the teacher designs all these individual learning situations.
Ya'ni o'qish jarayoni, learning process dizayn qilingandan keyin o'qituvchi har bitta o'quvchini o'qish holatini rejalab chiqadi.
And then we have this very interesting thing, it might sound very weird in your ears. And it means that our students in K6 level, the first 6 years, each student can plan and what he or she wants to study. So everybody is not studying the same.
Sizlar uchun bu g'alati eshitilishi mumkin, lekin bizning davlatda bu normal holatga aylangan. Demak, Finlandiyada 6-sinfgacha bo'lgan maktab o'quvchilari o'ziga belgilashadi, qaysi fanlarni o'qimoqchi bo'lganini va o'sha fanlarni o'qishadi.
And this requires
qanday qilib o'rganishmoqchi, mana shu o'rganish jarayonini o'ziga dizaynlab chiqishadi, ya'ni plan tuzishadi.
So this requires a lot from the teacher, and the teacher isn't only teaching but guiding and steering the students.
Demak, bu yerda o'qituvchi ularga yo'l yo'riq ko'rsatib turadi, xuddi ustoz va shogird an'anasi kabi.
So, well, how do the teachers prepare their students for learning? This is essential in this kind of system where the students have also, they can also choose or say what they prefer in their studies in early age already. So the teachers must prepare the students to understand what the school is about and what the syllabus is about.
Ya'ni bu holatda juda muhim savollardan bittasi, maqsadlardan bittasi o'qituvchilar o'quvchilarni o'qish uchun tayyorlashi kerak. Buning uchun ularning vazifasi o'quvchilarga maktabdagi sistema va maktabdagi bor fanlar haqida umumiy ma'lumot berish kerak. Чтобы ular shu fanlarning ichidan, sistemaning ichidan o'ziga kerakli fanlarni tanlab olishligi uchun.
Ya'ni yo'riqnoma ko'rsatiladi har bir o'quvchi uchun.
So the teachers must plan and explain everything for the students. They explain the processes and the learning goals. The learning goals play a very important role in the Finnish schools, and the students must learn what they are striving for. Also the timetables, tasks, all kinds of things must be explained to the students, of course, on their level of understanding.
Demak, o'quvchilarni tushunishlaridan kelib chiqib, ya'ni qanday darajada tushuna olishadi, o'quvchilarga umumiy har bitta narsa haqida, ya'ni qaysi paytda o'rganish, nimalarni bajarish, hammasi demak bosqichma-bosqich tushuntirib beriladi. Aniq holda shunaqangi ko'rsatib beriladiki, o'qituvchi ko'rsatgan yo'nalishi bo'yicha mustaqil harakatlana olishi uchun.
So here again, these things what I said. So the teacher sets the learning goals and of course discusses the goals with the students. And also what is very important, the teacher must open up the assessment criteria. So the teacher must explain the students what is going to be assessed during the learning process. So assessment plays a very important role. And then, of course, as I told earlier, the teacher makes the learning process visible.
Demak, o'qituvchi o'quvchilarni bu jarayonga qanday tayyorlaydi? Demak, o'qituvchi o'quvchilarning oldiga maqsadni aniq ko'rsatib beradi. Demak, biz shu bosqichni boshladik, bizning maqsadimiz nima? Undan so'ng albatta vazifalar aniq, ochiq-oydin ko'rsatilib beriladi. Ya'ni har bitta vazifani o'sha o'quvchiga beradigan foydasi, undan o'quvchini oladigan foydasi, mana shu maqsadgacha mana shu aynan vazifani o'quvchilarga yordam berishi ko'rsatib beriladi. Ularda baholash sistemasi, vazifalarni berish, topshiriqlarni berish eng asosiy o'rinda turar ekan. Demak, ular har bitta o'qituvchi yordamida o'quvchilar har bitta o'qish protsessini aniq oydin ko'rib oladilar o'qituvchi yordamida.
In Finland, the assessment system is, I think, very unknown to you. It is also new to us. So we have this competence-based assessment.
Demak, Finlandiya uchun ham ko'pgina davlatlar aynan biz uchun ham yangilik. Bu Finlandiya sistemasida competence based, ya'ni ko'nikmaga asoslangan o'qish, o'rganish sistemasi.
And also the student plays a very important role in assessment with the self-assessment and also giving feedback to the colleagues. So also we have this peer assessment system. But I won't explain it more. It's a theme for a total other webinar.
Demak, yana bir jihati, demak, ularda o'quvchilar o'zlari baholab borishadi, tengdoshlari bilan bir-birlarini darajalarini, ya'ni o'rganish darajalarini qanday darajada o'rganyapti, mana shuni ular baholab borishlari mumkin bo'ladi.
Then also the teacher explains the students all the teaching methods, so that the teacher doesn't just begin something and not tell the students, but we are making our pedagogy very transparent to the students.
Demak, o'quvchi uchun o'qituvchining har bitta ishlatayotgan metodlari, uni o'rganishgacha bo'lgan jarayondagi har bitta narsa o'quvchilar uchun ochiq, oydin ravishda tushuntirib ko'rsatib beriladi.
And this includes that a teacher also explains how the students will study. So what kind of study methods or what kind of processes they are going to use. And then also the teacher explains all the learning activities, what the students might be doing.
Demak, o'quvchiga boshidan barcha jarayon tushuntirib beriladi. Qanday metodlar ishlatiladi, qanday qilib o'qib o'rganish mumkin va bu yerda qanaqangi demak mashg'ulotlar, aktivitelar mana shu dars jarayonida qo'llaniladi.
Then the teacher also tells, these are the last few ones which I'm going through, about guidance. Also how the teacher is going to guide and steer the students, and what possibilities the students have to ask for help, etc. And then very precisely telling about the timetables, how much time the students have for each assignment or each section, what they are studying.
Demak, o'qituvchi har bitta jarayon uchun yo'riqnomani beradi va albatta ularda eng muhimi bu jadval bilan, ya'ni timetable deganda biz tushunishimiz mumkin dars jadvali, lekin bu yerda o'quv jarayoni jadvali, qaysi jarayon qachon aniq muddatda amalga oshiriladi, mana shular ko'rsatib beriladi, aniq, ochiq, oydin.
Okay, then about the technology we use in Finland. In Finland, we started at the end of the 19th century making strategies for the schools. So every school had to make a strategy how they are going to use information and communication technology in learning, studying, teaching, etc. So it has been on the strategy level in Finland starting from the end of the 1900s.
Demak, hozirgi kunda texnologiyalarni qo'llashdan juda ham keng yo'lga qo'yilgan Finlandiyada.
First, we have to think about the digital devices for studying. The K9 schools, the students are provided these digital devices from schools, but the K12, these 3 last years, each student must have an own computer or digital device and bring it to school for studies. So they have to pay it for themselves.
Jahongir Mirzo, bizda o'zbek tili, tarix fani o'qituvchilari ham bor. Shuning uchun qo'limizdan kelgancha tarjimani hozir vaqt olmaslik uchun aniq main pointlar kelib chiqqan holda tarjima qilyapmiz. Demak, bizda texnik har xil qurollar ishlatiladi, ya'ni vositalar.
Then, of course, in each classroom, like you in your country have projectors. And then we have digital learning materials. This has been produced on national level, but also private companies produce digital learning materials. And also schools produce them and teachers produce them.
Har bitta maktabda proyektorlar bor va ular texnik o'rganish materiallaridan foydalanishadi va bularni o'zlari yaratishadi.
Then we use digital platforms in schools. This means that so that the students are able to study independently or according to their own plans. They need these digital platforms where they can find their assignments and materials and their guiding material. But also in Finnish schools, we have this instant messaging system, which is a must thing, so that the school must have this system for the teacher, student and parents communication. And that happens on daily basis. Each teacher has to send these messages about the student performance to the students and parents.
Demak, ularda har xil platformalar ham mavjud. Hozirgi kunda biz o'zimiz uchun Planet platformasidan hozirgi kunda foydalanyapmiz va undan tashqari tezkor xabar almashinuv. Bizda o'zingiz bilasiz, o'zingizga ma'lum Telegram misol uchun dasturi bor. Mana shunaqa tarzda xabarlarni ham tezkor almashish vositalari qo'llaniladi.
So, when we think about how do the teachers teach in Finland, what methods are used? This, I call it teaching, and of course it's teaching, but you could also say that it's about learning. So they have these two sides, as a teacher, as a learner. And we use such learning models and practices such as project-based learning, case-based learning, individual learning. So project-based learning and case-based learning are group learning processes mostly. They can also be individual learning processes. But then this individual learning, what is here, it means that the teacher plans a learning process before the students start to study. And this has been shown to be very, very efficient in mathematics, where almost 85% of the students who have to study according to the teacher's pace do not benefit from this kind of teaching. And when now these mathematic courses have been done or designed into individual learning processes where the students can control or decide themselves how fast or how much time they need for studying, the results are very good. Then I go first. We have this multidisciplinary learning. Finnish curricula is divided into subjects, and this idea is that in multidisciplinary learning you put like many subjects together and the students study them at the same time. It means that you combine science with a language or with arts, and then they learn at the same time these things. You want to translate this first?
Demak, o'qituvchilar qanaqangi metodlardan foydalanishadi? Demak, project based learning, demak bizda proyektlarga asoslangan o'rganish hamda case based. Bunda o'quvchilar biror bir loyiha asosida guruh bo'lib ishlashadi. Alohida o'rganish bu asosan matematika fani uchun o'zlari ham aytib o'tdilar, matematika fani uchun juda ham foydali bo'lgan o'rganish usullaridan biri hisoblanadi. Va keyingisi ko'p tarmoqli o'rganish. Bunda biz ikkita uchta fanni birgalikda qo'shib o'rgatishimiz mumkin. Masalan, ilm fan hamda til yoki san'at bilan tilni birgalikda qo'shib, ayniqsa ko'p dunyoda tarqalgan bu ko'p tarmoqli o'rganishni yo'lga qo'ygan ustozlarning eng ko'p qo'llanadigan fanlari bu adabiyot hamda san'at hisoblanar ekan.
Then we also have this new way of learning, phenomenon-based learning, which became also a must thing for each school. Each school has to have at least two times phenomenon-based learning processes each year. And this means that the teaching is not subject-based, but it is designed around a topic, like it could be like climate change or whatever, electricity or something else, what the students want to study. Or it can be also around like mobile devices. But it's not like studying science itself or English itself or something, but this phenomenon. And this is something new in our schools. Okay.
Sorry for interrupting. Demak, hodisa, voqea hodisalarga asoslangan o'rganish bu yerda fanning o'zi emas, fan bilan bog'liq voqea hodisalar o'rganilar ekan.
Then we also have a lot of game-based learning, so that the students learn through these games. These games may be digital games, or they may be also like live games, so that the studying is planned as a game, a path that they go and they have to achieve something on the way. It is very popular in Finland. And then also what is coming more and more is hybrid learning. And hybrid learning means that we have both online and offline studies. So you can use the digital devices and you can learn at home or at school or in libraries. In the woods, we use a lot nature. We go to the nature and study there, and we bring the digital devices with us. Helsinki city has this system that we have. I live in Helsinki. We have this system that the whole city is a learning environment, so the students can use the whole city. They can go to libraries, museums, companies, and parks, and all kinds of places. And the learning is in all these learning environments. At one of these, how to apply it is flipped classroom. I think you might know it. So that you combine like theory lessons first at home, so the students first get acquainted with the theory alone, and then they come to school, and then they go in the deeper levels of learning with the teacher and with other schoolmates.
Demak, o'yinga asoslangan o'rganish, har bitta o'sha mavzu o'yin asosida tushuntiriladi. Keyingisi aralash o'rgatish uslubi. Bu yerda o'quvchi uyda o'zi, misol uchun, nazariyani o'rgansa, maktabga kelib uni yana ham chuqurlashtirib o'rganishi mumkin ekan. Ya'ni onlayn hamda offlayn o'rganish sistemasini birgalikda qo'llash.
So then we come to the next thing. How do the teachers activate their students, and how do students become active learners? I think that has been the key thing these past almost 25 years when we have the new theories of learning, which in these theories you think that the only way the person can learn is that the person is an active actor in the learning. And that's why we think about that, how do the students become active learners? I already told you about the portfolio process and the self-assessment process, but there are other ways to activate the students, active learners. And this is because the old school or the traditional school has been on that way that when we think about who is active and who is passive, so the teacher has been the active actor in the classrooms, educating, explaining things, and very much also, how would I say, the person who is all the time, you can hear the person's voice or something. And the students have been in more passive role. This means that they stay pretty much quiet and make perhaps notes, etc. But it's like receiving information and the other part is telling what's important. And now we are thinking about changing this so that the students become active actors and they don't have to be in this passive role anymore. This also means that in the traditional school in Finland, the students have been object to teaching, and the teacher is the subject who is teaching. So the teacher is the mastering the information and knowledge, and the student is receiving it as a recipient. And that makes the idea that, object or subject. And now we want to make that also so that the students become the subjects and perhaps the teacher is the object or both are subjects, so that the roles go reverse.
Keyingi punktimiz bu o'quvchilarni qanaqa qilib aktivlashtirish, bu juda ham muhim hisoblanadi. Har doim Finlandiyada hozirgi kunda berilayotgan shu asosiy aktual savollardan bittasi dars jarayonida qanaqa qilib biz o'quvchilarni aktivlashtiramiz, qanaqa qilib o'quvchilar ya'ni shu ssenadagi bir aktyorga yoki aktrisaga aylanishadigan savol. Undan oldin Hanne aytib o'tdilar, ulardan bitta yo'li bor edi, bu portfolio edi. Undan tashqari o'zini tekshirish, undan tashqari yana boshqa yo'llari bor deyaptilar. Mana traditsion qanaqa bo'lib kelgan odatda o'qitish tizimida, demak, o'qituvchi asosiy rolda bo'lgan, asosiy aktyor bo'lgan, gapiradigan odam o'qituvchi, tushuntiradigan odam o'qituvchi, informatsiyani qabul qiladigan, eshitadigan odam o'quvchi. Ya'ni aktiv bo'lgan o'qituvchi, passiv bo'lgan o'quvchi. Undan tashqari uni solishtirishyaptiki, demak, o'qituvchi subyekt bo'lgan, o'quvchi obyekt bo'lgan. Lekin hozirgi kundagi maqsaddan bittasi, o'sha trendga kirayotgan narsadan bittasi o'quvchilar obyektdan subyektga aylanishgan. Ya'ni ular passiv emas, o'sha aktivga aylanishgan. O'qituvchilar bo'lsa, balkim o'qituvchilar ham subyekt bo'lib qolishar. Balkim
yo'naltirib turishadi.
Balkim o'quvchilar bilan rol almashadi. Lekin asosiy maqsad passiv tomonda turgan o'quvchilarni rolini aktivga aylantirish.
Okay, thank you. Then we go next. So when we think about how do teachers activate their students, one way to activate students is with this goal setting, that the students know what they are striving for. This is very important.
Demak, o'quvchilarni aktivlashtirishning birinchi yo'li bu maqsad qo'yish orqali.
O'quvchiga aniq maqsadini belgilab berish, ya'ni shu fanni o'qisa, o'quvchi nimaga ega bo'ladi.
Secondly, students become activated through action. So when you think that you want to change the student behavior, you just don't start to say you have to change yourself, but you make them active through action and then they change.
Keyingi yo'limizni aktivlashtirish bu harakat orqali, ya'ni sizlar action deymiz. Biz u o'quvchini o'zgartirmoqchi bo'lsak, sen o'zgarishing kerak deb aytishimiz kerak emas, balkim shunaqa vazifalar berishimiz kerak, ular harakat orqali o'zligi aktivlashishi kerak.
And one of the, I think the most like natural ways to activate your students is using in your planning action verbs. And these action verbs, I think the word in Finnish language, this is English, but in Finnish language, it already tells that I am doing something. And we can have those in 3 levels in our thinking. We have the perception level, we have the interpretation level, and then the deepest level is information processing.
Demak, o'qituvchilar qanaqa qilib o'quvchilarni, ya'ni talabalarni aktivlashtiradi degan paytda bu narsaga biz action verbs, ya'ni harakat fe'llari orqali javob berishimiz mumkin. Va bu narsa ko'rib turibmiz 3 xil darajada bo'ladi. Birinchisi bu perception, ya'ni qabul qilish. Ikkinchisi interpretation, ya'ni yo'lga qo'yish. Va oxirgi yo'l information processing, ya'ni ma'lumotni
olgan misol uchun ma'lumotlarni jarayonga, ya'ni hayotga tatbiq qilish.
And traditionally in Finnish schools, the learning has remained very much on the perception level.
Traditsion maktablarda daraja faqat shu qabul qilish darajasida qolib ketgan.
So you can understand it when we look at the verbs now.
Endi hozir sizlar shu fe'liga qaraganimizda bu haqida yaxshiroq tushunib olishingiz mumkin.
Demak, fe'llar bu harakat.
So perception, it is that I read a text, like the teacher says, read this text, or look at this video, or listen to this, what is this voice recording, or sense, or touch, or glance, or examine.
Demak, qabul qilish bizni maktablarimizda ham bu juda ham keng rivojlangan, kitoblarda ham buni ko'rishimiz mumkin. O'qing, qarang, eshiting, his qilib ko'ring, misol uchun tegib ushlab ko'rish. nazar solish, uni imtihon qilib ko'rish, ya'ni
So the perception level has been traditionally in Finland very strong. So the teacher says you have to read the 2 next pages from the book, but that's all what the teacher gives you.
Traditsionni ko'pincha o'qituvchilar aytgan narsasi faqat qabul qilish darajasida bo'lgan o'quvchilar uchun, misol uchun, uyga borganingizda bitta kitobni, ikkita betini o'qinglar. O'sha joyda hammasi to'xtagan.
So if you want to a little deeper, you help the student to look with these spectacles, and you can say that read a book and then write down something about it, or draw a picture about it, or describe it or something. So the interpretation level means that you answer a question, you consider things, you may discuss them, tell, write, draw, describe, name, or locate something.
Demak, qabul qilgandan so'ng albatta uni demak analiz qilib qo'yish, qanday o'qigan narsasiga savollarga javob berish yoki ana shu o'qigan mavzuga asosan rasm chizish.
So this means that if you learn things only by repeating the information, you don't really understand it and you can't use the information later. And so these 2 first levels are still very like the surface levels. But if you want the students to really learn to think and learn to learn and learn to study, they have to be able to process information. And these are the typical things what the experts do in our societies. So it means that all these basic information processing, compare, evaluate, analyze, arrange, classify, differentiate, etc. Those help the student to go to a deeper level and be able to use the information he or she is studying.
Demak, biz hozir qanday aytib o'tgandek, 2 xil darajaga qaraydigan bo'lsak, qabul qilish bilan interpretatsiyaga, bu baribir ustki qismdagi o'rin bo'lib qoladi, daraja bo'lib qoladi. Chunki bu yerda faqat asosiy qiladigan ishi ma'lumotni o'qish va ma'lumotni eslab qolish bo'lyapti. Lekin bu narsa o'quvchilarni haliga tuzilgan 3 xil ko'nikma, ya'ni o'ylashni o'rganish, o'qishni o'rganish va analiz qilishni o'rganishga, tadbiq qilishni o'rganishga yordam bera olmaydi. U narsaga yordam beradigan narsa bu 3-daraja hisoblanadi, ya'ni information processing, ya'ni bu ma'lumotga ishlov berish, ya'ni qayta ishlash. Ko'rib turibmiz, buni ham o'zining fe'llari bor. Misol uchun solishtirish, uni baholash, analiz qilish, sanash, muammosini yechish va hokazo va hokazo.
And that's why we are using these pedagogical models, which I told you earlier about, these project-based learning, case-based learning, phenomenon-based learning, and etc. Because in those processes, you learn this deeper level learning.
Mana shu darajaga yetib borish uchun va ko'proq informatsiyani hayotga tatbiq qilish uchun biz boya aytib o'tgan usullardan foydalanamiz. Demak, maqsad mana shu.
So we can also say that third one, that activation can also be about setting boundaries to action. It's very, I think it's very important myself personally, that you also make boundaries with your school class, that you set, decide that we keep our timetables and we have the rules of the game, so that we help each others and we make our homeworks in time and then we participate in the project, etc. So boundaries help also this, create this action.
Albatta, bu yerda aktivatsiya uchun, harakat uchun eng muhim narsalardan bittasi bu yerda chegaralarni belgilab olish kerak. Ya'ni chegara deganda nazarda tutayotgan narsalar, misol uchun vaqtini belgilash, o'zini tartib qoidalari va shunga o'xshagan bir-biriga yordam berishga o'xshagan qonun-qoidalarni oldindan kelishib olish nazarda tutiladi.
And also this preset time that, you know, you can also practice with your students pretty demanding things in time limits, so that sometimes you only give 5 minutes for something and sometimes you give 1 hour to solve a problem, something. but you don't give the open time that as much time as you want, but you also, with the preset time, prompt the students activity.
Demak, oldindan belgilab berilgan vaqtlar, ya'ni vaqt chegarasi bu studentlarni, talabalarni, o'quvchilarni deyarli o'zlarini shu topshiriqlarni tushunarsiz yoki boshqacha usulda bajarishlariga olib keladi.
Olib kelmaydi, olib kelishlarini saqlab qoladi.
Ya'ni bemalol bajarishadi bu yerda.
Ya'ni oldindan vaqt belgilangan bo'lgani uchun talabalar, o'quvchilar oldindan aniq nima qilishini bilishadi.
Okay. Then also when we think about the teachers activating the students, we use a lot of learning assignment thinking. So we design learning assignments for the students. It means that it's an assignment where it's already it's built in thinking that the student is going to learn through this assignment. And also you can have the students watching videos. They get activated very fast, as you know, or read an article or go through a case.
Demak, bu yerda qanaqa qilib o'quvchilarni aktivlashtirishadi. Buning uchun o'quv mashqlari orqali, video ko'rish orqali yoki maqola o'qish orqali yoki qandaydir bir case, ya'ni bir
vazifalarni birgalikda
bajarish orqali bo'lishi mumkin.
And then working in groups is very essential, because when we think about the 21st century skills that the people should learn to work in groups in a goal-oriented manner. So we have a lot this in Finland, that the students work in groups, and it can be about acquiring information, because that is essential for the students nowadays, or processing information. It can be about problem solving, that is essential in the studies starting from the first grade. This means that problem solving plus posing questions and working with inquiries and problem solving. So that is also like they work as experts, or they learn to work as experts do.
Bundan tashqari guruhlarda ham ishlashni yo'lga qo'yishadi. Bu 21-asrdagi eng katta dolzarblardan bittasi. Mana bu yerda o'quvchilar demak o'rgangan narsalarini o'rganish mashg'ulotlari orqali demak ma'lumotni qabul qilish, o'rgangan ma'lumotni qayta ishlash, savollar berish va muammolarni hal qilish ustida ishlashadi birgalikda.
So, how to learn about these pedagogies used in Finland? I have been this teacher educator, and with the years of teaching all these things what I just now explained to you, plus other things, of course also about technology and social media, etc., etc. And I started opening up and modeling all these things, and I changed them into digital form. So I created these Starlessons, where all this in micro-learning bites about all these topics that I explained to you. You can't see it from here, but I will show you the paper about that. But it's a Finnish online practical pedagogy curriculum, where all these objectives about the 21st century skills are embedded in these lessons. Very practical thinking about pedagogical models and all the words or concepts which I mentioned, I guess. And they are then in these 48 lessons, so the teachers can practice like they're like golden nuggets, I could say. So nugget by nugget you can learn about all these elements that can help students to learn in a more efficient way and has a great impact on learning.
Demak, bizning ustozimiz avtor Hanne Koli o'zlarini 20 yillik pedagogika sohasida tajribalarini kelib chiqqan holda shu oxirgi o'zlarini qilgan bir katta ishlardan, proyektlardan bittasi, loyihalardan bittasi bu Starlessons hisoblanadi. Starlessonsda shu o'zlarini tajribadan kelib chiqqan holda hamma elementlarni va pedagogik modellarni shu yerga joylaganlar va eng qiziq tomoni betda tushuntirilgan har bir mavzu, har bir topiklar juda qisqa usulda va juda bir informatsiyaga boy qilib yozilgan. Bu narsani mana keyingi betda ko'rishingiz mumkin. 48 ta mavzular berilgan. 48 ta mavzu 12 ta mavzudan 4 ta darajaga bo'lingan.
Faqatgina nazariyatga asoslangan ma'lumotlar emas, bu yerda o'quvchilar va o'qituvchilar mana shu ma'lumotlardan qanday foydalanishlari to'g'risida ham yo'riqnomalar berib borilgan.
Okay, that was the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. And greetings from Finland.
Bu prezentatsiyani oxirida sizlarga kattakon rahmat deyaptilar. And now we can move to question and answers, right?
Yes, if somebody wants to pose questions, I'm here.
Kimdadir savol bo'lsa, hozir chatda ochamiz, bemalol savol berishingiz mumkin. Savollarga 10 daqiqa ichida javob beramiz. So we will have 10 minutes for questions and answers.
Yes.
So people are saying thank you very much for your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Savollar bo'lsa bemalol beraveramiz. Okay, now we have got one question, two questions. The first one is, can you share your experience with teaching online during the lockdown?
My experience, well, I haven't been teaching online the whole spring and summer when it has been the lockdown, and I have been developing how to help the teachers to do this. So I've been helping hundreds of teachers with their online, how to teach online during the lockdown. Yeah. We have been doing it, of course, through Teams or Zoom, like you, I presume, but also developing this kind of pedagogical ideas, how to have more interaction between the students and what tools, digital tools to use with the students so that they could interact with others, such as I use Google tools for Jamboree, where you can like write ideas and make plans together. Or then in Finland we have developed this tool. It's called Flinga, and it is something that you take. You don't have to pay anything. It's developed in the University of Helsinki, and you can very easily take it and share here, and the students can then with their mobile phones or something collaborate and develop things. So using how do the participants feel they're active and how they participate. So now when Teams, we use Teams a lot in Finland, and of course Zoom, they are like similar almost now. So you can also use the students there in how you use them as an aquaria, that these persons who like, some persons who belong to a group or somehow divide into groups could be like actively with the computer or the video on, and they could like collaborate with all the students and the others are listening, and then you change the, you know, all kinds of rhythms. So we have been developing how the groups can participate, or how do you collaborate together, or then even this, that how can you have additional cameras so that you can show things like I have teachers who teach art or like making clothes, and so they use these additional cameras, and they have the sewing machine, so they can teach all kinds of skills and how do you do things. So it's not only me and the camera, but the camera is showing, and you can very easily demonstrate things. So I think it only requires little imagination. But the difficult thing is with when you don't see the people, that you have to like live this your teaching and guiding thing and think that, well, something is happening at the other end.
Great, thank you very much for answering. Now the second question is about, we have heard that students in Finland aren't divided into gifted students and low-level students. Is it true? And what ways do you use to guide students to what they want or become in future?
I didn't quite understand the beginning of the question. Can you repeat it?
Yes, the author of the question is saying that in Finland there is no discrimination among students, saying that someone is in higher level student or someone is low level student. Is it true, and what ways do you use to guide students to what they want to become in future?
It's a complicated thing how they're doing, but we have a lot. We don't. We have we like integrate the students in the same classrooms. It's not always easy, but then the people who, or the students who need more assistance, they have the assistant personnel there also. So there are like personnel who is helping those who are not so, who need help more. It may like physical help, or they are like something. So it's not perhaps only one teacher teaching, and then we also nowadays have so that two teachers work together and they have their students together. So the other one can like observe things and help other things, and the other teacher is doing something else. And this makes their work a lot easier because they can work and plan together. And we have the different levels. So, but the idea is nowadays in our schools that all people don't like, they don't have the target in the same goals, but you can like think that these are my goals and I want to go there. So that also like helps this work. Of course, it requires a lot of guidance, and it means time.
Thank you. Next question is, how organized selection process among students in Finland?
Selection process.
Yeah,
in what,
I mean, they imply acceptance for university, for example. Is it test-based? Is it exam-based?
Competence-based.
No, it's changing now rapidly. So nowadays we have this, it changed very rapidly now. So we have the idea of everybody goes to the school where they live, or they go to a school they want to go. And so everybody has the same possibilities in the beginning, the 6 years plus the 3 years. After that, you have to apply to a school, and you have to have, these grades has to be enough for that school. So that's like already like dividing people. But then when you apply to university, your upper secondary school grades and the student exam, it's depend on those, that if you make well in those exams, you come directly to the university. And then if you don't, then you have to, you can go to this other way and take the exam. And if you make there okay, then you come to the university. So very much the school already, so school time matters there, what you do at school.
Great. And the last question is, what can you suggest to be better at teaching?
But what can I suggest what to be better at teaching? Well, I have to think that you have really to think about your work, that if you have students and you can see what your impact is, and you can think what are the not so good impact, what's not happening, what is happening and what's not happening. If something is happening with the students, you can say, I have been doing well. But if your student seems to have problems in certain areas, most of the students never learn something. So you don't look at the students, you have to look at yourself. How come I can't help my students to learn? That is teachers' work, to help the students to learn things, not only teach. Teaching is profession, but teachers' main focus is to help the students to learn.
That was a great answer. Hanne, thank you very much for your time today. Now, we are happy that we were able to make this presentation and answer all the questions. And most importantly, we were as punctual as Germans today.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So I hope to everybody good future. And I want to say at the end, if there are people still that I find that teacher's job is the most important job in society, because the teachers make the guidelines for the future for the young people. And that's the only place where you can really have an impact on the growing young people, what's going to be the future of that nation. It's not very easy to do it anymore in the university, but you have to do it when they start the school and really there have the impact on the students. That's why I find it the most important job. Yeah. Okay. Have a good future.
Thank you very much, Hanne.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Barcha qatnashchilarimizga rahmat.
Barcha qatnashchilarga katta rahmat. Salomat bo'linglar. Yana umid qilamiz sizlar bilan keyingi vebinarlarda ko'rishib qolamiz. Hammaga rahmat. Sog' salomat bo'linglar.